I'm a psychiatrist who's helped over 260 PMHNPs master psychiatry. And in this video, we're going to be covering productivity for Psych NPs. This is something I really had to master earlier on in my career and still pays dividends now. When I entered medical school, I went from kind of just studying casually to, oh, I need to study like my life depends on it, because it was a full-time job to study in medical school. We would go to lectures during the morning and then might work out in the afternoon, but then after that evening is just straight studying. And then we would have tests every 2 weeks as well too. And it basically felt like it was a final exam every single week that we were studying. It was a full-time job. Then I went into residency where, okay, we were working our full-time jobs, but then on top of that, I had to be learning psychiatry as well too, learning from my patients, studying the entire field all in my own time. So there, in both of those instances, in medical school, when I was learning all the theory about medicine, and then in residency, when I was getting that practical experience and then having to study on top of that, really taught me how to become productive. And now, as a fully independent practicing psychiatrist, I have my own business, I do social media. So I've taken these productivity hacks even further too. So that's where I want to further educate you with this. So the first thing that I want to share is, which I think is one of the most important tips, is, and there's going to be 9 tips here. So I'll write that 9 tips. So number 1 is going to be optimal time. So right now that I am filming, this is about noon on a Monday afternoon. And the reason, and I've just woken up maybe 30 minutes ago. And so the reason is because I have found that my best times for working are either first thing when I wake up and a few hours before I sleep. So I have a nice little gap of a few hours from by the time I wake up that my mind is very sharp, and a few hours before I sleep. That's when I also feel like my mind is sharp. In the afternoons or after lunch or when I've eaten, like let's say around 2 to 5 p.m., 1 to 5 p.m., that's when my productivity just drops. I become sluggish, especially if I've eaten lunch too. That's when my productivity is at all-time low. And so for me, right, the times are AM and PM. But for you, what you need to do is you got to find out which times does your brain work best, because that will allow you to get your studying done during this time. If you see patients, you may want to schedule, if you can, you schedule your patients during that time. Or if you want to try to learn psychiatry, that's when you do your extra learning. So this is the time I would say to do your extra learning, whether it's in school or if you're in the work. Granted, now you have to adjust this with your schedule, obviously, right? You have only so much control of your work schedule. You only have so much control of your school schedule. But you want to be able to schedule the learning that you do during that specific time. And for example, something that I used to do was I used to work out in the gym first thing in the morning. And then I realized that my gym sessions felt really good, but now my work sessions was not as good. And now I've since switched that to prioritize my work session. So now by filming or I'm working on my business or whatever it is, then I've changed it to where now I work in the mornings when I wake up, and then I go to the gym later in the afternoon. And my gym session goes down a little bit in quality, but I'm okay with that trade-off. So really, you want to find the most optimal time for it. And then leading into this is fasted versus fed. So you want to find out your most optimal state of productivity, whether you're in a fasted state or you're in a fed state. What I have personally found is that when I fast, like I've woken up, I haven't had anything, I've just had decaf coffee and some water. This is when I work the best and I think clearly. If I eat now, my productivity is immediately going to go down because the blood flow in my brain is going to focus from being in my brain to now going to my gut to digest it. So I have found for myself that I work the best fasted. Or like I said, later in the night, because then it's not like, let's say I had dinner around like 5, 6 p.m. Then if I'm working at 10 p.m., now it's been given, my body's had some time to digest that food. And because I've had time to digest that food, my brain can become sharper. Versus I've had encountered some people who feel like, no, I have to eat breakfast and that gets my blood sugar up and, I feel energized and like that's when I work. So, okay. So you got to find out what your best time is because that's where you're going to get the most productivity and that's how you're going to learn psychiatry the best. So then this leads into number 3. So finding out what kind of food to eat. So you want to optimize the type of food that you eat. And what I suggest to people is low carb, low processed. So I'll give you an example. So I remember when I was in residency, I was a vegetarian at that time. And so every afternoon I would have a veggie burger, like one of those veggie burgers that you would heat up and then I would have those. And for me, I thought, oh yeah, this has a lot of protein, but it had a lot of carbs and it was processed too. And what I realized was that my seeing patients that in the afternoons was always harder for me than seeing them in the morning. And I'm not a morning person. And I realized that, oh, it's because I'm having this like processed carb veggie burger. And then now I've switched over my diet. It's more of a low carb, like keto carnivore-esque diet. And so with that, I've noticed that even after I eat, for example, like I might have a bunch of fish in the afternoon, I feel fine and I still feel good and I still feel productive in the afternoon or eggs eating that. And so what I came to realize is that eating low carb and low processed food, or sorry, eating high carb and high processed food contributes to brain fog. And, so I'll even write that. So decrease brain fog. And it's because when you eat low carb food, your blood sugar doesn't spike up and down. So your blood sugar remains more steady. Therefore, your energy levels remain more steady. And when you eat less processed food, your inflammation is a lot less to it. Inflammation is like your body fighting stuff. The worst thing that you could do is just eat a bunch of sugars. And so, or like cereals and things. And like, this is why I believe that a lot of kids have ADHD symptoms is because they eat those sugary cereals for breakfast and then they come in, they're all wired. And then, they go all up and down instead of being rock solid and stable. So this is something I highly recommend too for productivity. The next thing is sleep. And this is never something I truly appreciated until the last couple of years. So I remember when I was in undergrad, I had this class, it was a biology class. I had it at 8 a.m. And so my roommate and I would usually stay up till 12 or 1, just talking, doing whatever. And then I would go to sleep and then wake up around 7-ish and go to class. And I would always feel groggy and I didn't drink any kind of caffeine at the time, and I just lived with that. I didn't prioritize sleep. Fast forward now, especially later on in my residency, and now as an attending, I have so much going on. Sleep is the number one thing that I care about. I care more about sleep than like pretty much everything except number one here, and because sleep is where your body recharges, it processes information and it detoxes. So I'll say detox, recharge, process. And so if you're trying to be productive, you want your brain to be your battery to be as charged as possible. You want your processes to be as basically like if you're trying to learn something, you want your brain to be able to process it and actually learn it. So let's say if I don't sleep well, I might have to study something 3 times, but if I slept well, I may only have to study it twice or once. And then detox because it's like if you imagine if your house is full of trash, then it's going to smell, it's going to get rotten. It's not going to be as effective of a house than if it's detox. It's not going to be as pleasant of an environment to be in. So it's the same thing. Sleep, highly important. If you want to be more productive and you want to learn, don't sacrifice sleep for extra learning. Sacrifice some of that extra learning or whatever you do for sleep instead. And then this leads me to the 5th point, caffeine. So this is controversial, but I stand by this. I think that caffeine is a loan. So basically you drink caffeine or take or pill or whatever, and you might feel like good in the moment, but it's a loan that you have to pay back later. And usually most people end up paying it back by sacrificing sleep. I have found that when I drink caffeine, my sleep suffers. It's harder for me to fall asleep and stay asleep. Even if I drink it in the morning and then fast forward 12, 14 hours later, I've just found that it's harder for me to do that. And then that next day, I just end up getting less sleep overall. I might get 6 to 8 hours of sleep instead of 8 to 10 hours, which that I know that might not be ideal for everyone, but that just works for me. The whole point is that you want to assess for caffeine and make sure it doesn't affect your sleep, because caffeine will affect your sleep, or it might affect your sleep, right? Especially if you take it later on in the afternoon. And people tend to get a lot of ups and downs as well too when they drink caffeine. And so their energy can go up and down, and so they have to drink more caffeine to overcompensate that. And then anxiety can happen as well too. So for all of those reasons, basically that's why I believe that caffeine, you want to limit it to optimize your productivity. Okay, so now number six, all right, decrease caffeine. Number six now. This is a concept that I've really become to love over the last couple years, and it's called buy back your time. So I remember when I was in medical school, that was a time where we were very, very busy. And I would be, like I had to optimize a lot of my time for studying because it was a lot of material that we had to learn. But I still remember we would still go grocery shopping, and I'd still be doing laundry, and I would still spend every week cleaning and like changing out sheets and things and cooking. And I was like, wow, like I hate that I have to do all this stuff because I'm wasting so much time. I could be studying during this time. And as I got older and older, I realized that a lot of business people, they didn't do their own cleaning and laundry and cooking because they realized that their time was worth more if they focused on their business or their craft rather than those menial tasks. Like the president of the United States doesn't do that, like doesn't iron his own clothes. The CEO of X company of Apple is not scrubbing his own floors and is not like cooking his own meals. And so it's the reason is because their time is much more valuable. Their brain power is much more valuable when they focus on their craft, and they can make way more money doing that than if they spent time doing those like random BS tests. I also realized this. I had a friend in undergrad, and his dad was a cardiologist, and he worked a lot of hours. And when he would come home, he would mow his lawn. And my friend was telling me that he would mow his lawn a lot. And I remember thinking that this dude's a cardiologist. He could just work for 1 hour and he could pay the lawn guy for like an entire year. Is it even worth his time to mow this lawn? And this will lead to a point later down the line, but this is something I've really come to believe in. So now I've moved. Right now I'm in my parents' home. I am a 32-year-old doctor, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I've moved into my parents' home. Why? It's because I want to buy back my time. I want to focus right now on my psychiatry practice, my business, social media, and my coaching community. Those are my priorities. So doing stuff like cooking, cleaning, laundry, like those things, distractions that I had in New York, I'm cutting all that out because I just want to focus on the things that will be the most productive for me. Even when even if you're not living with your parents' house, let's say you're living in, like a normal place, independently, right? Like just like I was in New York a couple months ago, I paid for laundry. I cooked the most simplest meals ever. We had a cleaning lady come. And so the reason I was doing this is because it was much more important for me to buy back my time and focus on the things that really mattered. And then that leads me to number 7. And so this is a productivity tip I haven't seen many people talk about. So I call it the one-page priorities. One-page priorities. So back when I wasn't using this whiteboard for YouTube videos, I used to write down all the stuff that was important in my life. So for example, work, business, gym, social life, family. I would write down these things, and maybe recreational time. And then whenever I would like have some kind of task, I was like, okay, is this worth doing or not? I would look at my list and then be like, okay, does this fit in my priority list? And if it does, then okay, then I'm going to do that task. But if it doesn't, then I would just not do it, or I would outsource it. And this became very helpful for me because it helped me stay productive. It helped me keep my productivity on the things that mattered most. And oftentimes we forget our priorities. So if you list down all the most important things, like the 5 things that are most important, and I would say 5 is a good number, because a priority, remember, it means that you put it above other things. But if you have like 20 priorities, then nothing can be a priority because you have so many. So you want to have a small number so that way you can really focus in on them. Gains and success, productivity is found through cutting out stuff rather than adding instead. You want to make things smaller and easier, not bigger and more jumbled. So that's number 7. Then number 8, adding on to this, is during the time that you are studying, you want to focus on one task at a time. So I remember this. I remember I was talking to a friend, and she told me that she found it really hard to clean her apartment. And I was like, why is it so hard? So she's like, okay, so I would start like, like mopping or like brooming. And then from that, then I would see the laundry. Then I would go over to the laundry. And then I would be like, okay, the microwave needs cleaned. Then I'd go to the microwave. And then the the old clothes need to be folded. So we should go do that. Then, oh, the bed sheets need to be done. And so she would like kind of half do all of these tasks, but then not end up completing anything. So a micro version of this is, let's say you are trying to learn psychopharmacology, and then, you found yourself bouncing between YouTube videos, you try to choose music, then you start studying psychiatric diagnoses instead, and then you might start booking that flight that you had to that you're going next month. So now you're bouncing between all of these tasks, and so your productivity is going to drop significantly. Whereas instead, if you just did, okay, I'm going to study psychopharm now. Okay, then I'm going to book my flight. Okay, then I'm going to choose the YouTube video and music that I want. So whatever order that you want to do it in, when you go about it that way, you'll be way more productive than if you did not do that. And then a corollary for this is, so put your phone in do not disturb mode. So if you put your phone in do not disturb, then your productivity is going to be, you're going to be able to lock in so much easier. You probably had those times where you feel like, okay, you're kind of getting in the zone, and then you get a notification, and then, you check it out, or it's a text or whatever. That time you just spent answering that text, even if it was like 30 seconds or a minute, now you come back, you kind of have to ramp up getting back into whatever thing you were in. There's a state, it's called a flow state, and it takes time to get into this flow state. So that's when your best productivity is going to be, and you never ever want to be sacrificing that. So yeah, one task at a time, super, super key. And then number 9 is downtime. You want to have downtime. And it's because downtime is what helps your brain recover and heal and rejuvenate almost spiritually, so that way you can start the productivity cycle again. I was listening to a Mr. Beast podcast, and he said that he spends all his time working and like working on his YouTube and businesses. And then when he stops, basically is when he feels his mind is mush. And then he'll just do some fun stuff, and then he'll recharge so that way he can recover again. So for me, that downtime involves like the gym. The gym is very important. Exercise is important to me. Spending time with friends, family, playing video games, whatever it might be. Like Elon Musk is famous for like working all throughout the day, and then he'll play Diablo, and then he'll recharge, and then he'll go back to work again. So finding that downtime, super key as well too. And that's what will fuel you to help you be the most productive, so that way you can learn psych the best. And so if you really want to master psychiatry, best way to do that is in our PMHNP Academy, where we had over 260 students go through so far. So you can check that out. But this is the productivity system and checklist that I have that helps me be the most productive in my life and to help me learn and master psychiatry.